Harking back to a beautiful era of 2D precision platforming glory is Bzzzt, a fantastic merger of precision platforming, score attacking, time trialling and collectathoning in a way that is packaged so that the different difficulty levels in the game can really help you get better at it over the course of time, and then take on the real meaty challenges of trying to get through levels on a single life, as well as hitting the score of collecting all of the bolts in a level and the time of trying to get to the end. It's one of those games that evokes a kind of flow state as you get better at it, but getting there requires an awful lot of skill and aptitude, but you don't have to go the whole hog of learning all of that if you want to just experience the game as a whole. In Bzzzt you play as ZX8000, a robot that starts off with just a simple jump, escaping from a lab from its creators who are being busy kidnapped by the baddie of this game, who's going to go and bring up his own robot and attack and kill the world and take over. How this translates into is various different multi-screen levels where you will have to run, jump, dash, flap, I think is probably the best way to describe the power-up, where you can press jump multiple times and kind of get over a certain hurdle. And then at a later point in the game turn into an electrical spark and float around from A to B so that you can then get round all of these different levels. There's a rhythmic flow, as I mentioned earlier on, with how all of the enemies move around and also where all the bolts are placed, which kind of gives you a sense of when you need to jump, when you need to double jump, and how you move in between all of the different enemies that are busy moving around the levels. But it does take skill to get there. And so I recommend firstly playing Bzzzt, probably initially in medium mode, just to see where your skills are at, but then maybe dropping it down to easy or very easy, which gives you 3 or 5 lives for each level, but also removes some of the obstacles and traps too. If you're one player that wants to that prefers story and progression over that whole kind of hardcore skill, those options are really good for you, because you'll be able to get through the main bulk of the game relatively simply, I would say. But there's still challenge there, because you can still go for trying to collect all the bolts and getting all of the getting it within a time limit, so you can get a flawless victory, and that then can pile up over time and unlock bonus levels, because there's a whole like half a game again post the credits if you do well. However, what I would then recommend is, as you get up to speed and feel more confident with that, then going back up the difficulties again, because it starts to add in traps that you didn't have to think of before, and that's where this flow state really comes in, because everything moves beautifully around you, like all great precision platformers of this kind do, so that you feel really skilled, and you are being skilled, but you have to time everything perfectly. The beauty of Bzzzt as well is that it only gives you a couple of mechanics, but it relies on really clever level design to get the most out of them. So the jump and the double jump have their own kind of place, and they're quite standard. But what's unique to Bzzzt is that the dash is unlimited, and so as soon as you finish one, you can hammer the next one and hammer the next one. And actually, it means that you can traverse really large gaps, or keep kind of dashing and dropping ever so slightly in air and dashing again, so that you can chain multiple things up and get like from A to B in a flash. And yeah, it really opens up the level design by being able to allow that to be an unlimited thing. There's an awful lot of lasers that will fire around and move around rhythmically. There's like crushes in from the sky, there's electrical traps, there's spikes everywhere. There's also a homing missile attack that, if it sees you within its sight for just a couple of seconds, will then just fire an instant death razor at you. So it keeps you on your toes constantly. There is no time to stand still in this game, but that's why the flow state works so well, because you are always constantly moving and going forward. None of this would be helpful or fun if it wasn't for the really predictable and consistent physics in this game. So ZX8000 has a really good physics model that feels predictable. It's not floaty at any point whatsoever, and when you stand still, you stand still. You don't have some kind of like after-touch nudge that keeps you running, for example. And that makes these types of games so much more approachable and enjoyable for me personally, and I think it's where a lot of other precision platformers misstep, and Bzzzt keeps it tight, and I think it's all for the better. Outside of the gorgeous graphics and the superb level design, I need to give a shout out for the absolutely stonking soundtrack that this game has. It's been composed by someone called Martin Linder, who is the creator of the Rhythmic Ultimate Studio, and I have to say I bought this soundtrack separately and I have no regrets. It is some of the best chip tuning I've seen in a precision platformer game for ages, and it's a chef's kiss, and it just adds even more onto the fantastic world that you're in with Bzzzt. I really don't have anything negative to say about this game whatsoever. It is an absolute joy to play. I think it's starting to get some slow burn recognition, hopefully, through word of mouth, because this is easily one of my favourite precision platformers that I've played in the last 5 years, without a doubt. And so I just want to recommend it to everyone, even if I'm coming to it 15 months later post-release, which is fine because there's now another half game after the post-credits with tons of bonus stages, but you gotta get those flawless victories to unlock them all. Have fun on the challenges, have fun on the online leaderboards trying to see how you can get the fastest speedrun too, and have fun in Bzzzt, because I think it's one of those truly great titles that we should all be shouting about. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.